What's Colorado known for? Well, weed and craft beer and well, more weed. But at one time, it was all about gold. In Neligh, do I have that right?
Neligh, yeah.
Neligh, the author of Gold. What is your fascination about gold? Colorado gold.
Yeah, I mean, great question. Without the discovery of Colorado gold, there wouldn't be a state. Colorado was really founded because of the discovery of gold here and the rush west to find it and make fortunes.
That was in the 1850s, 60s?
Yeah, 1859, a gentleman named George Jackson was sort of hunting up near Clear Creek County, near Idaho Springs today.
And up came the ground, came a
bubbling crude. Well, literally, he found an area that he thought looked promising, and it was all covered in ice, and he built a bonfire. And the next day, with his coffee cup, he panned out some large nuggets, and that was sort of the first huge discovery of gold in Colorado. Yeah.
I don't understand the process. I mean, I understand the process, modern process of big excavation, and they process lots and lots of gravel and stuff, and they pull out the gold. But back then, to see a guy panning for gold,
yeah,
I never quite understood that. I mean, I've seen it in the movies, but what is it they do?
Well, okay, so
and do people still do it?
Yeah, they do. So what happens is over millennia, the gold comes out of the mountains over time and collects in the streams. And so if you can find the gold in the streams, you can kind of figure out where in the mountains it might be. And a lot of prospectors and a lot of miners just do the panning. And so what happens is the gold is heavier than rocks, and so it sinks down. So if you get a big pan full of mud and other gunk and use water to shake it out, the gold will fall to the bottom, and you'll find it every time.
Have you done it?
Yeah, I did. I did find gold that way twice, and it was only because I asked the best in the business how to do it. And I found gold that was so small that it'd give you an aneurysm to stare at too long. It was really small, but really it's about the amount of material you can process. So there's a guy that I know who gets in a wetsuit, and he dives underneath the rivers, and basically with like a vacuum sucks up the gravel and the rock, and it comes up to the surface, and it's sorted there. So instead
of a big old sleuth, right?
Yeah, big sleuth, and like with a vacuum cleaner attached to it, and he's under the water doing that, and usually he's doing it in Clear Creek, which is not a busy, heavy a river with a lot of water most of the year, but during the spring it gets kind of crazy, and it's funny because occasionally somebody will fall out of a raft, while they're rafting up there, and he'll see them bobbing down the stream, and I'm not sure which is worse, falling out of your raft or having this giant guy come out of the water and grab you and drag you to the shore. But that's how he finds his gold.
What's the greatest Colorado success story with gold?
That is a wonderful question, actually. I think that the best success story in Colorado is the state's success story. I mean, there's lots of people who came west to find gold, and sometimes they did, and sometimes they didn't. And sometimes it was the people selling supplies to those people looking for gold that made the most amount of money. But without the discovery of gold, I mean, we wouldn't even be a state right now.
Well, also, there wouldn't be a city of Denver because the confluence of Cherry Creek and the Platte made a natural meeting point for prospectors and suppliers, and they knew it. You could find that spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that was a huge deal. And that's why Denver was such a perfect location for a city, because that's where you would go to get your supplies, and people would meet up.
I drive up I-70 and I see the Argo mine.
Yeah.
I saw it when I was a kid. I remember going up to Central City and buying what looked like gold. It was whatever the fool's gold is.
Yeah.
What's the story with the Argo mine? Is it still in use?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's actually a hugely fascinating story. So when they found gold in the mountains, the further down you dug, the more water you had. So the problem was that you dig down, you find gold, there's too much water, you can't dig anymore. So a guy had an idea to build a tunnel underneath the mines from Idaho Springs to Central City, and all the mines above that area could drain their water into it and keep mining for a price. And then they thought, well, we'll put a railroad in there and let people sort of this 4-mile tunnel from Idaho Springs to Central City, and they'll put their ore in these trains, and they'll take it out to that big red building you see, the Argo mill there right off of I-70, and that's where they got the gold out of.
Was that just like what they call it, sleuthing?
So yeah, like a sluice.
Sluice.
Yeah.
So that's why all the trailings are there, because they would basically do what the guy with a pan would do, but they did it on a large scale.
Yeah, huge building.
Right.
Yeah, and they had trains in there, and I guess even a teacher, a school marm would get on the train and ride to work and stop in the train and then take a bucket up to her schoolhouse on top of the mountain. It was a really cool deal, but it closed in the 40s because a lot of the men were in the war, and there was a skeleton crew, and they broke into a mine that had never been drained. And the only person who survived was the train operator, because the crew that was looking for the gold got drowned and they were killed. And
so in other words, there would be mines up top or tunnels up top.
Yeah.
They built a tunnel under here to drain it in.
Exactly. Yeah.
And which one was the railroad?
That was the tunnel. So
the lower one.
Yep, the lower one.
And
beneath the mines.
So every time they broke into something, it would actually drain out and go.
Yeah, and it was a great idea, and it sustained the sort of the gold mining industry in Colorado for years.
Central City always amazed me because it is a boom and bust city.
Yeah.
The gold rush and boom, gold goes down and bust. Limited stakes gambling comes, boom. Yeah. But it's a mile away from whatever city it is that everyone else goes to, Blackhawk, and bust again.
Yeah.
Is there one town that is kind of the Colorado historical mining town?
Ooh, that's tough. Clear Creek County and Gilpin County were both sort of the epicenters for the original gold rush in Colorado. But really the story of the gold rush is gold rushes happening all over the state and people rushing to them and trying to find gold. And of course, with the crazies and the gold hunting came
Tell me about the
violence.
crazies real fast.
Sure.
Tell me about the violence, the mayhem, the murder.
Sure.
Because you don't think about that.
Yeah.
Real fast, we're going to run out of time.
Yeah.
What murder? What mayhem?
Well, I mean,
I don't. They're just old prospectors around Keith going around and.
Yeah, sure. Digging for gold. Well, looking for gold is hard work, and it's painful and difficult, and it takes forever, and it's way easier to steal somebody's gold that they've already found. And so a lot of violence and criminals and gunslingers and even cannibals came along with the various gold rushes in the Colorado area. And yeah, there's plenty of violence. They say that in the movies, all that violence you see in the Westerns didn't really happen in the Old West. Well, that's not at all true. It was pretty wild and hairy here in Colorado during those early days.
So it was basically people stealing miners' gold.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And there was a time where the miners left and operations came in. Would that be the right way to put it? When real smelting started happening and technology changed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the more money that's required to get the gold, the more sort of investors are needed and laws, and that's when the old time miners started drifting out, and you got big corporations and companies.
Does anybody actually make a living today panning for gold?
It's
a living.
The jury's out. There is a commercial gold mine in Colorado, the Cripple Creek Victor Gold Mine, owned by Newmont, the biggest gold mine in the world. But
all right, well, take me some time,
okay,
and I'll steal what you've got. Gold, buy it, Amazon. We'll see you next week.